Welcome to IPO This Week for the week of March 8th, 2021. And it's a big week for companies going public because we have two heavyweights in Coupang and Roblox that a lot of you guys have been waiting for. And behind the big two, we also have one well-known brand name company going public and then three more companies that you may not know as much about. Let's get into it. Hey guys, great to see everyone back. Wasn't sure I was going to get to this week's episode, but I found a little bit of time, and while I prepared it a little quicker than normal, hopefully you guys will still find some value in it. And anyway, so we have the episode because there's just a lot going on this week. For anyone new here, my name is Kevin, and on this show, we look at new companies coming out for the week. Now keep in mind, this show is meant to be more of an overview of the companies, and then we follow up the companies with a lot of interest that you might have in with a dedicated analysis type video. For this week, you'll get one on Roblox. It's one we've been talking about for a long time and actually started working on it way back in November. So finally happy to get that one out. So we'll get that out right before it starts to trade, and we'll talk about when that is in a couple minutes here. First up, let's talk about some of the companies we don't know as much about. All right, so first up, we have a pretty interesting company to me, at least from its sounds. I don't know much about them, but they're based in Israel, and their name is MeaTech 3D. This company is focused on developing a cultured meat steak technology. And to give you an idea of what it is, and I'm just going to go from the filing here, is that the company looks to manufacture proteins without the need for animal slaughter, so try to be environmental friendly. And what they're looking at doing is developing a three-dimensional bioprinter to deposit layers of differentiated stem cells and cell nutrients in a three-dimensional form of structured culture meat. Sounds pretty interesting, maybe a little scary at the same time. But what the idea with this company is that they're looking to try to improve the quality of the environment. So what they're looking at is food supply chains being stretched. And they're also looking at trying to reduce the issues with like diseases that are transferred from animals to humans. And so we just think about what's happened with the big pandemic. So this is a point for that. And they also talk about some of the things like the salmonella, which is pretty common. Now they realize that for people to actually eat this, they believe that it has to be engineered to look and smell like conventional meat, both before and after cooking. And then of course it has to taste and feel like meat that people are used to. So this is an option from your typical plant-based alternatives that are coming up a lot. MeaTech believes that they are the first company developing this type of bioprinter and what they need to do to make this cultured meat. So as far as where they're at, they announced in the third quarter of 2020 that they had achieved a significant milestone, which was the successful printing of the uniform, thin, slaughter-free meat tissue produced from stem cells. At this point, again, early on, they have not generated any revenues at this point. There is, right now, I have no confirmed date for when the IPO is happening, but when it does, it's expected to be priced at $15.10. The company looks to raise $25 million at a $175 million market cap. And when it starts to trade, it will trade under the ticker MITC. Okay, the second company for this week is First High School Education Group, and they're based in China. This company plans to raise $75 million at a $289 million market cap. The company was originally established to provide after-school tutoring services. And as their name indicates, they have now focused on high schools where they've developed a network of 19 schools, and they are considered to be the largest operator of private high schools in Western China and the third largest operator in all of China in terms of student enrollment as of December 31st, 2019. They're reporting a compound annual growth rate of 77.3% in terms of high school student enrollment. As far as the IPO, it's looking to be priced between $9.50 and $10.50 on March the 10th, and then we would expect it to trade on Thursday, March the 11th, under the ticker FHS. The third one is a pool equipment supplier named Hayward Holdings. This company has an estimated 30% share of the North American residential pool market. They've been profitable for over the past 2 years, and then for 2020 in particular, they had net income of $43 million, and that was driven by revenue of $875 million. They do have one large customer. It's called Pool Corporation, and that customer accounts for over 30% of their 2020 sales. And then actually in the top 5 customers account for 43% of all sales. So it might be a little concentration as far as customers, so you got something to consider. The company plans to raise $725 million at a $4.4 billion market cap. As far as the IPO for Hayward Holdings, looks to be priced between $17 and $19. That'll happen on the 11th, and then the company will look to trade under the ticker HAYW on Friday. Moving on, I mentioned at the top of the video there was a company with a well-known brand name. This would be this one, JOAN. Most people may remember it as Joann Fabrics. The company was public before. They were public before 2011. Then they were bought by a private equity company. For those of you that may or may not know of JOAN, they are a fabric and crafts retailer. They operate a nationwide network of sewing, fabrics, and arts and crafts retail stores. And JOAN is considered the nation's category leader in sewing, and it controls approximately 1/3 of the market. Now, this was a company that definitely benefited from the pandemic, people being at home, looking for things to do, turning into arts and crafts. And so they were actually able to turn profitable for 2020 based on that sales growth. So the question I think we have to ask ourselves here is, will this hold as it returns to more of a normal type of economy? As of right now, the JOAN IPO plans to raise $175 million at a $679 million market cap. The IPO is set for Thursday with pricing to come in between $15 and $17. The company would then begin trading on Friday the 12th. All right, next up we got the two big companies for the week. The first one we'll talk about is Roblox, and most of you guys are very familiar with Roblox, especially if you've been with the channel for a while. We've been talking about it for months now. They operate an online gaming platform, and they are interesting in that they're the year's first direct listing. I made a video recently on direct listings that talks about the differences between traditional IPOs, so if you haven't seen that, I'll link that for you. But to give you a little bit of a background on Roblox, they have an estimated market value at listing of more than $29 billion, which is really up 7 times from February of last year, so they've grown a lot in another company that benefited the pandemic. The company reports that 30 million people from around the world come to their platform every day to connect with their friends, where they play games and learn and communicate. And they do this all through 3D digital worlds that are entirely user-generated. And those worlds are built by a community of nearly 7 million active developers. As far as financials for last year, Roblox reported just under $1 billion at $924 million of sales. And that's up from $508 million in 2019. Keep in mind, though, the company is not profitable. In fact, losses actually got worse from last year, as they had $71 million loss in 2019, and that was up to $253.3 million last year, with a lot of that money going towards paying their developers. So again, this is a company that has thrived during the pandemic, as we can see by the valuation really going 7-fold in just under a year. Now keep in mind, since Roblox is not holding a traditional IPO and they're holding a direct listing, so you don't see an IPO price or a pricing range that we typically see. For this company, you see a reference price, and that reference price is $45. And what that basically is set from is where the company expects that the stock will trade on that first day, and that's based on some of the more recent private fundraising that they've had. So I'll be talking more about that, and then also just answering the big question, can the company's growth that's been accelerated out of the pandemic, can that continue as, again, the economy continues to go back to normal? I'll talk about all of that in that comprehensive video that will come out before the stock starts to trade, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you don't have your notification bell on, turn it on right now. Anyways, the direct listing is set for Wednesday, March 10th, so definitely we'll have that video up before that. All right, so let's finish up with the other big company coming out this week. This is Coupang, and they are an e-commerce giant in South Korea. The company was ranked number 2 on CNBC's top 50 disruptor list of 2020. The company's been around since 2010, and actually back in 2015 started to be backed by SoftBank. It also has BlackRock as another big-time investor in the company. Now, this company was another one that benefited from the pandemic and the stay-at-home economy as far as e-commerce goes, where they had massive revenue growth last year. In fact, 90% up from 2019 levels, and they came in at just under $12 billion for 2020. So yeah, you can see why so many people are looking forward to this company going public. Actually, a lot of people consider Coupang the Amazon of South Korea. And that's a pretty significant thing because according to Euromonitor, South Korea's e-commerce market is projected to be the 3rd largest in the world in 2021, behind only China and the US. One of the things that Coupang has done really well and attracted a lot of positive feedback on is the fact that almost 100% of its deliveries are completed by the next day of the order, with many of those deliveries being the same day. However, that comes at a cost. The company has been unprofitable, even with this $12 billion revenue. They had a $474 million loss in 2020. However, keep in mind that that's narrowed from just over $1 billion loss from 2018. And again, it's just because of that strong revenue growth and improved margins. Coupang also actually has South Korea's top food delivery service named Coupang Eats as part of a portfolio of its services. As far as the Coupang IPO, the company plans to raise $3.4 billion at a $51 billion market cap, with shares being priced on Wednesday within $27 to $30 range. Trading will then begin for Coupang stock on Thursday under the ticker CPNG. All right, guys, that's a list for this week. Again, I know I put this together a little quicker than normal, but I hope you still found it helpful. At least gives you some ideas about the companies and gives you, which ones you might be interested in to look more into. Are you interested in buying any of them? Let me know in the comments. I'm always interested to hear what you guys think. So I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please push that like button. It really helps me with YouTube and helps get the channel more exposure, which we really need to do to keep growing. And then any help you can give me as far as sharing the video on any of your social media sites really helps me a lot as well. And then again, if you're new here, or just an occasional visitor, we'd love to have you join the community. It's totally free. You just got to press that little red subscribe button. All right, guys, I'll be talking to you soon. In fact, real soon, because we're going to have that comprehensive video on Roblox coming out. Again, I'm just putting the final touches on it. So look out for that. Until then, have a great day and take care.